Our vision is to make all kinds of games, all kinds of things that you can control through your phone that happen in reality. And we see it also happening in other industries.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Leumi Tech, sponsored by Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Turing, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and in media partnership with CTech. When technology and the physical world intertwine, amazing things happen. Meet Ron Brightman, founder and CEO of Gigantic, the creators of the Clawee app. Ron, MBA, has been managing online marketing teams for about 19 years at various companies such as 888, PartyGaming, and eToro. For 7 years, Ron was the CEO of Performance Revenues, an international mobile marketing firm. Meet Ron. Ron Brightman, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders,
Hello.
all the way from the Gigantic offices.
Indeed.
Now I know why you call the company Gigantic, because then you say, oh yeah, I'm in the Gigantic offices.
I am. They're not that gigantic, but...
It rolls off the tongue. Ron, from a bachelor's and master's in psychology to an MBA to working in incredible companies as VP marketing and in eToro, but you were also previously at Cellcom, and you've done quite a bit. Now CEO of Gigantic, and now you're creating games and you're shaping the way a lot of people are going to experience the world, and gaming is one of those domains and industries that I have on the top of my list to do a deep dive, because it is that's where we're headed, and I don't know nearly enough about it. And so I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions in these next 20 minutes, but the first and most important one is, how do you get into gaming in the first place from psychology and from sales and marketing?
Yes, I've done a very long way with some detours in it, but eventually I ended up in the gaming industry, but that was already like almost 20 years ago, or 19 to be precise. So I just found myself in that industry, and I very soon realized that this is the industry to be in. It's not only the gaming industry, it was the internet industry at the beginning, and then it evolved into a specific channel of gaming. But it's the internet, basically, or now it's mobile. So yes, you're definitely right about your passion to explore the gaming industry much further, because this is the industry now where everything is happening the fastest, the most exciting, the most innovations, the most money, the most growth, and we can see it in the public companies that their prices are soaring, and we can also see it at home. Everyone is playing all the time, in all ages and all walks of life. We all became gamers, all of us, and you don't have to play on a PlayStation or something like that. Everyone has a very, very good gaming device in their hands, and they can play 5 minutes or 5 hours every day. And it's happening all over us. So that's definitely the industry. Now, I think that what we're doing specifically in Gigantic is actually quite amazing. And I know I'm strange to be saying it about ourselves, but it is true, because we're doing real innovation in the gaming space. And it's not an easy thing to do, because, if we look around us, either here in Israel or worldwide, we see that most of the gaming companies are imitating and replicating and duplicating with very slight modifications and many other things that are already there. So there's not that much real innovation, and we're actually carving a new vertical within the gaming space. So I have to say what we're doing.
Yes.
We're doing something that's called connected reality. At least this is how we call it. Connected reality is we're bringing the player the ability to control real gaming machines, real physical objects in the real world, to control it through their mobile phones. and to watch whatever they're doing through live video streaming. So you can be in one side of the globe and to control gaming devices on the other side of the globe in real time with live video streaming. And our first app is called Clawee. And in Clawee, most of the machines are claw machines, although not only. I will tell you in a second about a few other machines that we have.
Now, when you say machines, what do you actually mean by machines?
I mean that we actually have, currently we have 260 real claw machines at our offices. We have another office, not in Tel Aviv. Right now, our office and that I'm talking from is in Tel Aviv, but we have an office in the neighboring city, which is Petach Tikva. And over there we have 1,000 square meters, and we're just doubling it to 2,000. And we have lots and lots of machines with lines of machines, and it's like two double-decker machines, and they're connected to internet lines, and they have, each machine has one camera in the front and one camera in the side. And if actually visiting that place is a very interesting experience. I had many visitors, so you're welcome. Next time we meet, let's make it at the Machine Studio. I can assure it's a very interesting experience. I had many people come to visit it, and people from abroad, very high-ranking people from Google, Facebook, other competitors even, and they all were amazed by how this looks. It has some unique vibe to that place because everything is moving all the time, and there's no one standing in front of the machines. So it's really cool experience, and you also see the machines, and they look very nice, and we have different kinds of machines. So it's something that you have not seen, that I can promise you.
How does the connected part work? Because obviously that's the killer feature here.
So you download Clawee, on your phone, Android or iOS, Apple, and immediately we connect you with live stream to one of the machines, and you're controlling that machine. You're actually moving the claw. You're controlling the claw, and you see what you're doing through the live video. And when you manage to catch a prize, you get it delivered through mail to your doorstep.
Wow.
So it's like double the excitement than any other regular game where you only control virtual things that are happening on your screen and nothing is actually happening in reality. So here something is actually happening in reality, and it creates a completely different gameplay. The experience is different. It does not feel like controlling a virtual game. It feels like you're actually doing something that is actually happening, and it is actually happening. So the gameplay, the experience is much more immersive.
Right.
It's much more exciting, and you really feel the excitement of trying to catch that item. So when you do manage to get it, the excitement is very great, and also when you don't, you get extremely mad. And we can see that with our players. They love us, but when they're angry at us, they're also extremely angry at us. Although we let them, we don't play around with it. We let them exercise their skills, and it is a game of skill, at least the way that we are doing it. Not necessarily in the arcade center next to your house. Sometimes the operator of these machines, this is a trade secret I can share. In the arcade center, if you go, most of these machines are set up in a way that they have a payout ratio, so it's not really based on your skill, more on if someone just won the machine or not, which means that if someone just won the machine, don't play it.
Don't play it.
Don't play it. So with us, it's not like that. You can win a few times in a row, and it really depends on your skill. And actually, players win all the time, or a lot of the times. We ship monthly about 130,000 pieces every month. So we ship a lot of stuff.
That needs a whole startup by itself, just managing the
Yes.
shipment of 130,000. But Ron, take me up 30,000 feet in the air. Right now, you're talking about claws, and I as an outsider, and I imagine a lot of the people listening, I'm imagining this big factory, a lot of claws, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, like okay, this is a new type of thing. On one hand, yes, it's claws, but you're actually talking to me about a new connected world, a new universe where people are interacting with their phones, where before it ended with the phone, but now there's this whole new dimension and a whole new layer that what they're doing actually impacts the physical world. What does this mean? What does this mean for us, for society?
It means something very big because our vision is to make all kinds of games, all kinds of things that you can control through your phone that happen in reality. And we see it also happening in other industries, like you have Waze that navigates you through the road, or you have Get Taxi that lets you invite a taxi, or there's so many things now that are connected. Your phone is not only living in the virtual space, it's also influencing other stuff that's happening outside. And it didn't happen this way in games, except for maybe virtual reality games, where you do have some kind of interaction with the reality, but it's not really reality. So what we're doing is really interaction with reality. And this opens up, as you said, a completely new space, a completely new realm to play with. And this is our vision. This is what we're already doing. So as you said, claw machines are one thing, but in our vision, and we already started to do it, it doesn't end with claw machine. It never ends. We can do it in so many other games, and we already started. So right now within Clawee, you can play a miniature version of soccer, mini golf, even basketball. We develop our own machines, and we invent them and we develop them. And so we developed a machine that you have a cannon with the ball and you're shooting it into the basket. Wow. And with mini golf, you have a small golfing pole, and you do the mini golf as you do outside. And the next thing that we already started to develop is bowling. It's not live yet, but we bought real bowling alleys, 2 big bowling alleys, the long ones, the real ones. And now we have to build it and to set it up. And I think bowling is going to be a huge hit. So this is what we're doing.
And what is the grand vision of a company like this? So on one hand, you have these games that are very interactive, they're very engaging. It sounds like people experience them on a different emotional level than a lot of other games. But what are you like? What does this actually mean? Like what is the vision for this?
It means that we're gonna be a gigantic company, and that there's gonna be many other companies that's gonna imitate us, and it's gonna be a whole new vertical within gaming. It already is, and there's already companies that are competitors of ours. But it's gonna go into the mainstream very fast. It's already happening. Just last week, we climbed into the top 20 most downloaded games on the US Apple store. Yes, and we're also in the top 100 grossing apps there.
Wow!
And the game has been live for about 3 years now. And this year it experienced a massive growth. It started with the coronavirus last year, but this year has been a huge growth, and we expect it to continue growing significantly. And we see that more and more companies pay attention to that. Also, lots of media coverage, because it's something that people can connect. It's somehow anyone I tell about this says, what? There's some disbelief at the beginning, and it's also what happens to our players. But very fast, when you digest the idea, when you actually play, you realize that it is true. We're actually playing on a real live machine, and immediately you say, well, how did I think of it? It's so logical, it's so intuitive, and it even has some kind of nostalgic element to it, because anyone has played real either claw machines or arcade machines at some point or at many points.
Right.
So it has some personal connection to everyone somehow.
No. I think that's so cool. Now, Ron, take me back a little bit. You're doing your bachelor's and master's in psychology. It doesn't seem like you did too much psychology later on, in the traditional sense of psychology. But where do you find your academia play into your day to day, if at all? Do you feel that your understanding of psychology is impacting in any way, shape, or form the journey that you're on?
So for the majority of my years, I thought that my 2 degrees in psychology were a waste of time. But only recently I realized that it was not probably a complete waste of time. Well, first thing, I met my wife there, so that's one. But I think also it does definitely help me in my professional life. And maybe in 2 ways. So obviously one is what you would expect, in the gaming industry. It's a lot about psychology, the psychology of the player, how to keep the player entertained and engaged, and how to make them obviously pay and come back. Come back is probably the biggest challenge for all games. How to make the player come back to the game, and there's lots of stuff that go into that. But that's really about very specific about maybe game design and stuff like that. So probably not the right place now to go into that, because it's very long. And the other thing that might be even more meaningful or influential is actually the ability to be a founder and CEO of a company, which is a challenge, a big challenge by itself, because you have employees and you have clients or players, or users, and you have investors, and you have so many other things going on, and you just need to learn how to navigate within that.
Right.
And that's always a complex and challenging thing. And I think that, to know a little bit about psychology, both how other people think and react, and what motivates them, is one, but also about yourself. So I think it did help me in that manner a little bit.
No, I can only imagine how big a part it must play, especially as you're dealing with a company that at the end is creating interactions. And whenever you're creating an interaction, if you have an insight into the science behind this interaction, and you're able to understand trends, and you're able to understand why people do what they do, and explain that with a little bit of research and some background, that's much stronger than than intuition. And I think that's really amazing.
Yeah.
But Ron, I have a few more questions. They're not about gaming. They're more about you, if you're ready for them.
Okay. Sure, go ahead.
All right. So we'll go back to middle school and high school. What was your favorite subject?
Wow. I think many times for many people it really depends on the teacher.
Yeah.
So good teachers is a hard thing to come by, but it's very important. I also see it with my kids now. I think maybe literature.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe something like that, but might have something to do with the fact that my mother was a literature teacher.
Now I understand. And who, throughout your career, personal or professional, would you consider a role model of some kind or an inspiration?
Wow. I think I had a few. Maybe one of the influential ones was Yoni Asya, founder and CEO of eToro, which is an extremely successful company, and it was it was very interesting to see him manage that company, because it was a startup and I joined from day zero. There was nothing then. And to see him grow the company and recruit people and talk with reporters and talk with investors and look at the numbers and getting involved with all the different areas, with the technology, with marketing, with everything else. Also, all the mistakes that he did, all the wrong things that he did.
Yeah.
It all helped me. Back then, when I looked at him, I said, "Well, I'm never gonna be a CEO. I don't want, and I will never ever choose this kind of path." And somehow, I did. So it did help me to see him do
Wow.
this kind of thing. That helped me realize one of the ways to do that. Obviously, it's not the only one, but it was a very interesting role model.
And what are 3 words that you would use to describe yourself?
Wow. You have some difficult questions. Wow. 3 words to describe myself? I think I am I would like to think that I'm a relatively good person. I don't know if I can say that I am. Another thing, I believe in personal improvement. What other thing? I think I have. Oh man.
I love that. It's more difficult than running a company. Ron, I love I love it when people take a lot of time and when they really think. I think that to me, that's part of the learning and trying to, it's impossible to drill down to 3 words, but I gained so much inspiration and I had so much fun over these past 20 minutes. And I love the perspective of looking at this new market. I love the perspective of the psychology, but more of the perspective of, how creating interactions that are really meaningful for people. And it's a theme that came up over and over again here. This idea of creating something that is different, that is creating a positive, experience on the people, using it across the board, whether it's visiting the factory in Petah Tikva or the place, or it's the person who's operating the claw from afar, or it's developing the game. So it's all around. It sounds amazing. And thank you very much for your time. This was wonderful.
You are very welcome. Thank you very much for having me. And
thank you.
Yeah, that's.
Thank you very much.